So here we are again, being silly.
Yes, silly as can be.
Today we're celebrating a holiday we have never personally celebrated before. It's a Jewish holiday called Purim.
Purim.
And it celebrates the story of Queen Esther, the book, who's in the Bible, in the book of Esther,
In the book of
and
Esther.
her story. And one of the things they do on Purim is they read the story of Queen Esther. They read the whole book,
That's
but
right.
we don't have time to do that here.
No, we don't.
But John is going to give a quick little summary of the book of Esther and what happened there.
All right, here it goes. The book of Esther is about how King Ahasuerus takes Esther to become his queen, and how she and her cousin Mordecai, who are Jews, are able to frustrate the plans of the prime minister Haman to kill all the Jews on account of that Mordecai did not bow to him one day as he was out and about. Very important is that King Ahasuerus was indebted to Mordecai. Previously, he had saved the king's life from a couple of thugs among the palace servants. So, after being offended by Mordecai, Haman asked the king to send out an order to have all the Jews killed, and not knowing that Esther was a Jew. Esther and Mordecai step up with a plan. First, she boldly approaches the king, which was not kosher. She could have been banished. He received her, and she asked for a gathering with the king and Haman. Meanwhile, Haman has built a gallows at his house to hang Mordecai, and but the king has also remembered that he wants to honor Mordecai for saving him from the palace thugs. At the gathering of the king and Esther and Mordecai, the king asks how he can honor a special person. Haman, thinking it is he, says to have him dressed up in royal clothes, put on a horse, and have an official parade him around. Surprise! It's Mordecai to be honored, not Haman, and Haman is to parade him around. Queen Esther asked the king to halt the order to kill the Jews. Sorry, I can't take it back, but they are free to defend themselves. And after Susan explains some special effects, I'm actually going to read a section that shows how it all ends and what happens to Haman.
So when Jewish people get together to read the book of Esther, one of the traditions is that every time the evil Haman's name is mentioned, it's blotted out with cheers and booing and a noisemaker thing, kind of like what they use on New Year's Eve.
That's
And
right.
I don't have one of those, I couldn't find one. So I have this really loud tambourine. So John's going to read the last part of the story, and I'm going to do what they would do as they're listening to the story and make noise.
So here they're at the banquet just before Haman learns about his final fate. Over the wine, the king asks Esther again, "Now, Queen Esther, what do you want? Tell me, and you shall have it. I'll even give you half the empire." Queen Esther answered, "If it please your majesty to grant my humble request, my wish is that I may live and that my people may live. My people and I have been sold for slaughter. If it were nothing more than as serious as being sold into slavery, I would have kept quiet and not bothered you about it. But we are about to be destroyed, exterminated." Then King Xerxes asked Queen Esther, "Who dares do such a thing? Where is this man?" Esther answered, "Our enemy, our persecutor, is this evil man, Haman." Haman faced the king and queen with terror. The king got up in a fury, left the room, went outside to the palace gardens. Haman could see that the king was determined to punish him, so he stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life. He had just thrown himself down on Esther's couch to beg for mercy when the king came back into the room from the gardens. Seeing this, the king cried out, "Is this man going to rape the queen right out here in front of me in my own palace?" The king had no sooner said this than the eunuchs covered Haman's head. Then one of them, who was named Harbona, said, "Haman even went so far as to build a gallows at his house, so that he could hang Mordecai, who saved Your Majesty's life, and it's 75 feet tall. Hang Haman on it, the king commanded. So Haman was hanged on it, the gallows that he had built for Mordecai, and the king's anger cooled down.
Wow.
Whoa,
So
what a story. And
So Esther saves the day.
saved the day, the tables were turned.
The tables were turned, and Mordecai was going to get hanged, and Haman gets hanged instead. It's quite a story. And how do you like reading it that way? It's like Pee-wee's Playhouse, where they have the secret word and everybody yells.
Yay!
So imagine being in a big group of people doing that. What fun that would be.
Yeah, it would be.
John did that one time where there was people in the Bible and one of those long lists of names, and some were yay and some were boo.
Yeah,
we
that's
did that,
right.
so it was kind of like that.
A lot of fun.
A lot of fun. So anyway, I don't know, many of you may not know this, but we lived in an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood for 10 years in Chicago, West Rogers Park, and there was always things going on that we didn't know what was going on.
We wondered.
They were doing things, and we'd be like, why are they doing that? And we'd have to ask our neighbors. Well, the kids would go out and go from door to door and dressed in costumes, but it was springtime, not Halloween.
That's right.
And so, turns out it was for Purim.
Purim.
Because you dress in costumes for
Right.
Purim. It could be any costume, usually
Right.
biblical characters or animals or something like that, just something fun. It's kind of like, they say it's Jewish carnival.
Oh, yes.
So anyway, tonight, John is dressed like the mighty king Ahasuerus, who renounced the order that Haman had
Yes.
given to kill the Jews. And I am dressed as the beautiful Queen Esther.
The most beautiful in the land.
Yes, the most beautiful. Sorry, Esther, but this is the best that I could do. So anyway, that's one thing people do is they dress up in costumes, and sometimes they even act out the whole book like a play.
Right.
And it's a lot of fun, and it's a joyful time.
Very joyful.
And so one of the things, of course, on a joyful day, you do feasting, right? And while there isn't really a set menu for Purim, they do have a special cookie. And they're called Haman's Hat. See, they're triangular cookies with jelly in them. And so they call them, it must be something like Haman-Schaden cookies.
Okay.
And so a lot of mine didn't turn out, but those few did turn out, so I'm
Yes.
pretty proud of them. We're going to
Yeah.
eat them up.
Very tasty.
Yes. Another special feature of Purim that I read about is that they used to at least, encourage people to get drunk. And so I have my glass of wine here, and the idea is that you're supposed to get inebriated to the point that you can't tell the difference between Haman and Mordecai,
Oh,
which is sort of symbolic, as many things are in Jewish religion, of the inability to tell the cursed from the blessed, spiritual blindness. So it's quite a holiday, right?
It is. It's
With
a
a
terrific
joy
holiday.
and drinking and cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies.
A lot
and
of-
dressing up in costumes.
lot of
Like who could
food.
ask for more than that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And one thing they do, it's very important, they make sure that they send food and comfort to the poor, because they want nobody left behind in this great and joyful holiday in which they are all released, delivered, and saved, and can live a happy life. So it's a time of great happiness and joy.
And it really is the holiday where they celebrate happy endings.
Happy endings.
Happy endings, like in the book of Esther. So it's
So-
a time of great joy, and we hope everybody has a happy ending. And
And-
so 1, 2,
2, 3. Happy Purim!